This is gonna be a really short video, but it's gonna be so fun. What up, my realists? It's Stephen, and welcome back to another video. I hope y'all are doing great. This one's actually gonna be a kind of short and long video at the same time. I know that's kind of counterintuitive, but I'll get to what I mean by that. Basically, today I'm finally announcing the project that I've been working on for months. This is probably the biggest project I've ever undertaken. It took months of planning, writing, and recording just to make it come to fruition, and I can finally announce it right now. I am making my own podcast. You guys heard it right. I just made my own fiction podcast. It's been a long time coming. I've been working on this since literally like July of last year. And now we're finally at that point where we can finally release this content. Now, for those of you wondering what exactly the podcast is about, let me explain. So the podcast is a fiction podcast, kind of like Limetown and Homecoming and Alice Isn't Dead and Welcome to Night Vale. It's kind of similar to those shows. It revolves around this girl named Joan, who one day gets into a car accident. When she enters the realm of the dead, her consciousness accidentally intertwines with the consciousness of another girl from another dimension. A dimension that has dragons and magic, unicorns, monsters, knights and princesses and heroes and kings and all that good fantasy stuff. And we get to hear about what happens in this other dimension from the perspective of this one girl. And that girl's name is Joan Kendrick, and the show is called Joan Kendrick and the Realms of Lar. I hope y'all can support it. We're gonna be on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Our first episode drops on February 28th, but you don't have to wait till then to see the first half of the first episode, because I'm gonna include the first half of the first episode right here, right now, which is why this video is 25 minutes long. So yes, I hope you guys can enjoy this teaser, and when you're done and you like what you hear, go on to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts and click subscribe, because episodes are gonna be coming out weekly starting on February 28th. I'll release more information on my community tab and on my social media really soon. Also, if you can, please like the Joan Kendrick in the Realms of Lar page on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at Joan Kendrick Podcast, and follow us on Twitter on Joan Kendrick Pod. Also support us on Patreon, and I'll put all the links to all our social media and Patreon down in the description below. Well, that's it for now, guys. Enjoy the first half of episode 1 of Joan Kendrick and the Realms of Lar.
October 14th, 4:04 p.m. Go-Go Yogurt Car Park. This thing still feels kind of awkward for me. See, I bought this recorder because I thought it'd be better to have an audio diary, because it would save on time and paper, and I could record wherever and whenever I want, but nobody told me just how awkward it could be at first. I can imagine whoever listens to this cringing at every word I say. That being said, I don't know if anyone is ever going to hear these, except for me, but thinking about it now, maybe it's better if no one does. If someone did, they'd probably think I was crazy. Anyway, the reason why this is my very first update is because it happened again. I was in line for frozen yogurt a while ago as a treat for myself after that huge test when it happened. It happens so much more now. I doubt anyone in that shop could have guessed that just a few feet away from where they were standing, an ordinary-looking girl was reliving a moment of excruciating pain. No, not a moment. A dream, according to my psychiatrist. But you never hear dreams being described that way. Painful. Which is why I hesitate to call it one. Usually they're happy, or sad, or scary, but never painful. Dreams are just thoughts, after all, and most of them are harmless and forgotten once you wake up, or so I've read. But not this one. This one has persisted for months, gripping me like a baby koala clings to its mother for dear life. And now it's evolved into something more than a dream. I remember the moment when that happened. I was in the main library on campus. I was minding my own business, catching up on some homework. All of a sudden, while I was awake, the dream appeared and hit me, quite literally, like a ton of bricks. One minute I was fine. The next, I was doubled over in pain as the dream, now a vision, played over and over again in my mind. I think the worst part is that when it happens, I can't do anything about it. I can only sit there and pray that it leaves me as quickly as it arrived. The lengths are totally random. Sometimes they leave in a moment. Other times, it feels like half an hour's gone by. Still, Dr. Holland says we're making progress, which, now that I'm saying it out loud, leads me to believe that we have entirely different definitions of the word progress. I know he's doing his best, but I just wish his treatments would work. It's been the same thing for the last around 6 months now. You know, ever since I died.
Joan Kendrick and the Realms of Lar, Episode 1, The Dream.
October 15th, 6:50 a.m., my dorm room. I really tried this time. To be fair, I try every night, and it still doesn't work. You know that saying? The one that goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I guess that makes me the biggest fool on earth for always hoping that things are going to be different. Even though I know they won't be. I still keep hoping, though. Every single day. The dream appeared again, and it stopped me from sleeping. Again. I don't think I got even an hour's sleep last night. Like I said yesterday, I don't know if anyone will ever hear these, but I guess now it's worth mentioning why I'm in this mess in the first place. 6 months ago, I died. It was my own fault, though. I remember I had just come from the coffee collective in town when my friend, Jessica, texted me asking for advice. We became friends after sitting beside each other in one of our classes. I haven't heard from her in a while, actually. Anyway, she was telling me about this boy she had a crush on, and she needed my advice because she was planning on making a move on him. Apparently, never being in a real relationship before makes me more than qualified to give out relationship advice. I think I might have been too engrossed in her personal life because next thing I know, I accidentally walked into oncoming traffic. I know, you can say it. How cliche is it for another Gen Z tech native to be so distracted by their phone that they don't pay attention to what's around them? Believe it or not, this isn't the first time I've been endangered like this. I'm not the luckiest person when it comes to my own personal safety. I've fallen off of a number of bikes, crash landed into trees while skiing, and almost drowned while out at the beach. But none of that comes close to almost dying in a car accident. Thinking about it now, though, I actually don't remember a lot about the incident itself. I remember the pain. There was a lot of that. But I don't remember getting hit. 1 second, I was fine. Next thing I knew, I'm lying face first on the asphalt. They said the impact sent me flying through the air, but I'm pretty sure my subconscious repressed those memories. Why it can't do the same thing with my dream, I don't know. I remember waking up at the hospital. My mom and dad were beside me, both deep in prayer, rosaries in their hands. I remember my mom screaming as soon as I woke up. She was crying so hard, and so was my dad. My dad never cries, ever. But there he was, tears flowing down his cheeks. Then, all of a sudden, a bunch of doctors came into my room. They were checking me for everything and making sure that I still had all 5 of my senses after the accident. It all left me feeling a bit disoriented. It was like the whole room was spinning. I remember asking for water, and my mom brought it to me. She helped me drink it really gently, and she has this way of caressing my hair and squeezing my shoulder that just reassures me that everything's going to be okay. She didn't even need to say anything. I just knew. That alone made me feel a lot better. I asked what had happened, and they looked at each other. My dad wiped his brow and told me the whole story. I was hit by a sedan, which put me in a coma for 2 weeks. I cracked 6 ribs, suffered a lot of internal bleeding, got a very noticeable scar on my left cheekbone, and there were concerns that I might have possible permanent brain damage if I ever woke up. It was a miracle that I had survived with everything mostly intact. They told me I should consider myself lucky, which I guess I am, in a way. I stayed there for a few more days, which the doctors were surprised by, because apparently I started healing pretty quickly after I woke up. Then finally got discharged and sent back home. Sometimes I wonder what I would have done if I knew then that my life would be like this when I woke up. Part of me thinks it wouldn't matter, but another part of me thinks that maybe it would have been better to stay in that coma. Maybe a couple of extra days could have avoided all this stuff with the dream. But I guess there's no point in asking that question now. Dr. Holland has me on 3 kinds of meds now. It's all gonna be okay soon. Maybe not tomorrow, but soon. Okay. I've got a few deadlines coming up, so I better get to work. I'll update this again when I can. October 15th, 6:52 p.m., my dorm room. It happened again today. This time in the library as I was studying. I was going over my notes for my philosophy midterm tomorrow when the pain started again. It always has the worst timing. I usually plan out my entire study day down to the minute, but now whenever it happens, I can't concentrate on what I'm doing for about an hour after that. I know you're probably wondering, what exactly my dreams and visions are about that they would have this kind of effect on me. Since the beginning, they've all been about the same thing, but the reason why I don't talk about it is because I know it makes me sound like a crazy person. I've only told a couple of people, one of them being Dr. Holland, but I don't think he believes me. He knows something's wrong, but I'm not sure if he believes my version of the truth. He's been trying to find other, more scientific explanations for what I'm experiencing. His current diagnosis is PTSD, which is why, according to him, I'm having flashbacks and dreams and feeling pain. But I keep telling him that my flashbacks and dreams aren't even of the accident in the first place. Besides, I don't think science can explain what went on in my head while I was in that coma. Wait, no. Not in my head. There was no way that was all in my head, no matter what Dr. Holland or Mom and Dad tell me. Yeah, they don't believe me either. When I first told them, they exchanged a look I knew very well. It's the same look they would give each other when I was a kid, whenever I'd give an implausible excuse for something. That was followed by concerned tones of, "Sweetie, you've been through a very traumatic experience. Maybe your mind is playing tricks on you." They didn't understand. I don't know if anyone can. I've tried going online to find others who have gone through what I went through, and while some people have had something similar happen to them, there are a bunch of other people who think people like me are lying or making our stories up. They claim that what happened to me and others like me is impossible, because when they went through it, their experience was different. No offense, but just because something didn't happen to you doesn't mean it didn't happen. I had planned to write about it in my journal as soon as I fully understood the whole experience. But I realized today that maybe there are just some things we're never meant to understand. So, might as well just say it already instead of waiting for absolute comprehension that'll never come anyway. Before I say it though, I guess I should already apologize if some of my descriptions are vague. I'll try to explain it as best as I can, but this is one of the things where you had to be there. I think most people would call what I went through a near-death experience. I did actually flatline for about 10 to 15 minutes, 2 weeks into my coma. I'm not sure if this thing happened within those 10 to 15 minutes, because, to be honest, when it happened, it felt like it lasted a lifetime, and it was the only time during my coma that I actually remember having a dream. But it wasn't a dream. It was real. It was vivid and exciting and terrifying and humbling, all at the same time. At first, I was floating in this black void of nothingness. Then, the nothingness transformed into something, almost like a tunnel. The walls of the tunnel seemed to be made up of the fabric of the universe, or antimatter, or something that seemed to flow with me. At the end of the tunnel was a light. I know, spooky, right? But that isn't even the weirdest part. I finally arrived at the light, and all of a sudden I was in this white room with someone. I don't know who it was, but they were just radiating love. An unconditional, pure, limitless love. I couldn't look at him, or her, or it. I didn't know what it was. All I know is that it loved me more than I loved myself. It knew me more than I knew myself. It understood me more than I understood myself. It was a beautiful feeling. I hope everyone gets to experience it. Imagine the feeling of seeing the most beautiful sunrise of all time, or seeing the face of your newborn child for the first time. Now, multiply that by 1,000,000,000, and you're not even close to the feeling I felt radiating off of that being. Then, it started talking, I think. Or maybe it was more like communicating. I don't remember if it had a mouth or anything, but it was telling me something. It was telling me all about my life and all the things I had done and how those things affected everyone around me. It showed me the consequences of all my actions, both the good and the bad, laid out right in front of me for what felt like a second and eternity all at once. It did so without judging me, but rather with understanding. It knew why I made all my mistakes, and yet it said that it loved me. I didn't want to leave. I felt so at peace, so loved. I wanted to stay forever. But then, something happened. All of a sudden, another tiny pinprick of light appeared. Then, it started growing. It was glowing so bright that it consumed the whole room. It was searing through my skin, or whatever I was made up of while I was there. It felt like the room was 1,000,000,000 degrees and that the light was burning into my being. Then all of a sudden, I felt like I was falling. The light was getting farther and farther away from me. I was falling down into this abyss. And then I stopped falling. For a while, I was just in this darkness, floating in the middle of it all. I don't know how long I was there, but soon I started falling again. I felt myself falling straight back into my body, and then nothing. I don't remember anything after that. But apparently, I wasn't out for too long, because 2 hours after flatlining, I woke up. Doctors couldn't believe it. I thought that would be the end of it, but that night, I saw the light again. I felt the burning sensations all over me again, and I woke up screaming. It's been like that ever since. That light is what I remember. It's what I dream about every time I sleep. It's what I see in my visions. Every time it enters my mind, I can feel it, as if it was calling out to me. I can feel it searing into my skin again, melting me every single time. Every time it comes up, I feel like I'm dying all over again. Sometimes I wish I was. I'm afraid to do anything now. I'm afraid to sleep. I'm afraid to wake up. I'm afraid to be with others, be alone, ride my bike, drive my car, everything. Nowhere is safe. No time is safe. I'm always worrying, anticipating, looking over my shoulder for the next possible attack. Always wondering when it's going to strike again, because it's never a question of if, but when. When am I going to feel the pain again? When am I going to regret waking up from that coma again? When am I going to... Crap, wait. Almost forgot. I've been on pills since a few days after I had that first dream the night after I woke up from the coma. My mom and dad called Dr. Holland that day, and After a lengthy psych evaluation that included a lot of different tests, he put me on pills, and I've been on them ever since. They're supposed to remove the visions and dreams and help me sleep, but they aren't working. If anything, it's making me sleep even less. Honestly, that's fine by me. I would rather be awake, hyped up on 12 cups of coffee and running on pure adrenaline than see that white light again. So, yeah. That's my story. It's okay if you don't believe me. I wouldn't believe me either. But it was real. I swear it was.